You want the house. Take it. That's what I told them. My own children. Standing in my living room like a panel of judges, waiting for me to crumble. You want the apology. Keep waiting. The silence that followed wasn't what they expected. They expected tears, pleading, maybe even begging. What they got was something else entirely. Before I tell you what happened next, don't forget to subscribe if you love true stories like this, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if this happened to you? My name is Robert. I'm 67 years old. And this is the story of how I lost everything I thought mattered, and discovered what actually does. Let me take you back 18 months. Back when I still believed family meant something unconditional. I had 3 children. Michael, my oldest, at 42. Sarah, 39. And Daniel, the baby, at 35. Their mother, Patricia, passed away 6 years ago after a battle with cancer that hollowed us all out. Those last months we were a unit. We held hands in hospital rooms. We made promises about staying close. For a while we kept those promises. I'm not a wealthy man. Never have been. I worked 40 years as a mechanical engineer at a mid-sized firm. Decent salary. Good benefits. Patricia and I lived modestly, saved what we could, paid off our house in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy. 3 bedrooms, small yard, the kind of place where you know your neighbors' names. When Patricia died, she left me that house and about $200,000 in savings and insurance. Not a fortune, but enough for security. Enough to stop working at 61 and spend my remaining years in peace. The kids were good to me after Patricia passed. Sarah called every Sunday. Michael stopped by every couple weeks to check on the roof, the furnace, whatever needed checking. Daniel, who lived 2 states away in North Carolina, sent long emails about his daughters, my granddaughters, and their soccer games and school plays. Felt held, supported, like maybe we'd gotten through the worst together. I should have known better. Started small. Little things you tell yourself don't mean anything. Michael stopped returning calls as quickly. When he did visit, he seemed distracted, always checking his phone. Sarah's Sunday calls became every other Sunday, then monthly. Daniel's emails got shorter, then stopped entirely for 6 weeks. I told myself they were busy. Michael had his contracting business. Sarah was a nurse working double shifts. Daniel had those 2 girls and a demanding job in pharmaceutical sales. But then came Thanksgiving. The year before, we'd all gathered at my house. Patricia's traditions. Her stuffing recipe. Her pumpkin pie. The kids insisted we keep doing it her way, that it honored her memory. This particular Thanksgiving, I called each of them in October to plan it. Michael. Actually, Dad, Jennifer's family wants us this year. We're going to rotate. Jennifer. His wife of 3 years. His second wife after Claire. Jennifer, who smiled with her mouth but never her eyes. Sarah. I picked up an extra shift. The money's too good, Dad. You understand. She'd never picked up a holiday shift before. Daniel didn't even call back. He sent a text. Can't make it this year. Sorry. Tight budget. Text. After 40 years of Thanksgiving together. I spent Thanksgiving alone that year. Heated up a Stouffer's turkey dinner and watched football I didn't care about. The house felt massive and empty, every room echoing with absence. I told myself it was 1 year. An anomaly. These things happen. But Christmas was worse. By December, the silence was its own presence. I'd go 4 or 5 days without hearing from anyone. Call and get voicemail. Leave messages that went unreturned for days. When Sarah finally called back after a week of silence, I asked her directly, "Did I do something wrong?" "What?" "No, Dad. Why would you think that?" I don't hear from you anymore." She sighed. That particular sigh people use when you're being inconvenient. You're being paranoid. We're all just busy. You know how life gets. But I didn't know. Because when Patricia was alive, busy or not, we made time. We showed up. Christmas morning I woke up alone. No calls. No visits. I sent a group text to all three. Merry Christmas. I love you all. Michael responded at 3 p.m. You too. Sarah sent a Santa emoji. Daniel didn't respond at all. That night, sitting in my recliner with the lights off and the Christmas tree glowing in the corner, Patricia's tree with 40 years of ornaments, I felt something crack inside me. Not break, just crack. Like ice on a pond when you take that first step. I realized I was afraid. Afraid of whatever was coming. Because something was coming. You don't get iced out by your own children without reason. I just didn't know what the reason was yet. The call came in February. Michael. His voice was different. Formal. Like he was reading from a script. Dad, we need to talk. All of us. Can you meet us at Sarah's house this Saturday? 2 o'clock. What's this about? We'll discuss it Saturday. Michael, just tell me. Saturday, Dad. Blick. That week crawled by. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Ran through every possibility in my mind. Were they planning an intervention? Did they think I was declining mentally? Was someone sick? Saturday came. I drove to Sarah's house across town. She lived in a newer development, one of those subdivisions where every house looks nearly identical. She'd bought it 2 years ago after her divorce, and I'd helped with the down payment. $15,000 from my savings. I remembered that as I walked up her driveway. All three of them were waiting in her living room, sitting in a row on the couch like a tribunal. Michael in the middle, Sarah to his right, Daniel to his left. 3 chairs arranged opposite them. They gestured to the middle one. Sat. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Then Michael cleared his throat. Dad, we've been talking. The 3 of us. About the situation. What situation? Your living situation. The house. Your finances. My stomach dropped. What about them? Sarah leaned forward. Dad, you're 67 years old. Living alone in that big house. It's not sustainable. I've been managing fine. Have you? Michael cut in. Because from where we're sitting, you're isolated. You don't have friends. You barely leave the house. Mom's been gone 6 years and you're still living in the past. I felt heat rising in my chest. I have friends. I leave the house. And that house is my home. It's too much house for one person, Sarah said. Her nurse voice. Calm, rational, explaining to a difficult patient. The maintenance alone. I handle the maintenance. Dad. Daniel spoke for the first time. We think it's time you downsized. Moved into something smaller. Maybe a senior community. A senior community. They're very nice now, Sarah added quickly. Active communities. Social opportunities. I don't want social opportunities. I want my house. Michael exchanged a look with his siblings. A look that said, see. This is what we're dealing with. Is this about the house? Asked slowly. Or is this about something else? Another exchanged look. Then Michael spoke. Dad, we also need to talk about the money. And there it was. The ice cracking beneath my feet, finally giving way. What money? I asked, though I knew exactly what money. Mom's life insurance. Your savings. You're sitting on $200,000. That money is for my retirement. My care if I need it. Right, Michael said. But Dad, you're healthy. You could live another 20 years. That money is just sitting there. Sarah jumped in. We're not saying you should spend it all. But you could help us. We're your children. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Help you with what? She glanced at Michael. He nodded. I'm in some debt, she admitted. Credit cards. Medical bills from the divorce. About 30,000. I turned to Michael. And you? The business is struggling. I need capital. 50,000 would get me through the next year. Daniel wouldn't meet my eyes. Jennifer wants to go back to school, he said quietly. MBA program. We don't qualify for much aid. 40,000 would cover it. $120,000. Between the three of them. Let me understand this, I said slowly. You've been avoiding me for months. Skipping holidays. Not returning calls. Because you were working up to asking me for money. It's not like that, Sarah started. Then what is it like? Michael's expression hardened. Dad, we're your family. Mom would have wanted you to help us. Don't you dare bring your mother into this. She would have. Sarah insisted. She always said family comes first. Family does come first, I said. Which is why I'm wondering where mine has been for the past 6 months. Silence. I'm not giving you the money. The air in the room changed instantly. 3 faces hardening into something I didn't recognize. Dad, Michael began. No. That money is for my security. My future. I worked 40 years for it. Your mother and I saved every penny. It's not an inheritance fund for you to raid while I'm still alive. We're not raiding it, Daniel snapped. We're asking for help. By ambushing me. By cutting me out of your lives until you needed something. That's not fair, Sarah said. Fair. You want to talk about fair? Gave you life. Raised you. Paid for colleges and weddings and down payments. I gave Sarah 15,000 for this very house 2 years ago. And now you come to me like I owe you more. Michael stood up. His face was red. You're being selfish. That word. Selfish. From my own son. Get out, I heard myself say. Dad. Get out. I stood and walked to Sarah's front door. Opened it. Cold February air rushed in. They didn't move for a long moment. Then one by one they stood. But they didn't leave. They came toward me, and their faces weren't apologetic. They were angry. Michael stopped in front of me. Close enough that I could smell his cologne. Expensive cologne. Funny how you notice details in moments like that. You're making a mistake, he said quietly. Am I? We're your children. We're all you have. That sentence hung in the air like a threat. Because that's what it was. Threat. Think carefully about this, Sarah added, coming up beside him. Because if you say no, if you refuse to help your own family when we need you, we're going to have to reconsider our relationship. I stared at her. Reconsider our relationship. We can't keep bending over backward for someone who won't be there for us when it matters. Bending over backward. You haven't called me in 3 weeks. Because we're busy, Dad, Daniel said, frustrated. Because we have our own problems and our own lives and we can't drop everything to babysit you. I never asked you to babysit me. You don't have to ask, Michael said. The guilt is enough. The constant worry about whether you're okay, whether you're lonely, whether you need something. It's exhausting. There it was. The truth beneath the truth. I wasn't a father to them anymore. I was a burden. An obligation. Something they had to manage and monitor and, apparently, tolerate. Unless I paid them not to be. So this is it, I said. Give you the money or lose you entirely. They didn't confirm it. They didn't have to. The silence was confirmation enough. Then I guess you've already made your choice, I said. Because I'm not paying for the privilege of being your father. Michael's jaw clenched. Fine. Then don't expect us to be around anymore. Don't call. Don't text. We're done. Done, Sarah echoed, her eyes hard. Daniel just nodded, looking at the floor. I stepped back and gestured to the open door. They left. One by one. No goodbye. No backward glance. I stood in Sarah's doorway and watched them get into their separate cars and drive away. The February wind was bitter, cutting through my coat, but I didn't feel it. I felt nothing at all. The first month was the hardest. I kept expecting them to call, text, to apologize for the things they'd said. Some part of me thought it was just anger, heat of the moment, and once they cooled down they'd realize how absurd it all was. They didn't call. I lasted 2 weeks before I broke and called Michael. Voicemail. Called Sarah. Voicemail. Called Daniel. Voicemail. I sent a group text. Can we please talk? I love you all. No response. That's when the doubt started creeping in. Late at night, sitting in the dark, I'd ask myself, were they right? Was I being selfish? Should family help each other no matter what? But then I'd remember their faces. The coldness. The calculation. This wasn't about family helping family. This was about money. About what they thought they were owed. And I'd remember what Patricia used to say. Love isn't transactional, Robert. The moment someone puts a price on it, it stops being love. Still, knowing something intellectually and feeling it emotionally are different things. I was alone. Truly alone. No one called. No one visited. The house echoed with silence so thick it felt physical. I started going on long walks, hours at a time. Through the neighborhood, through parks, anywhere to escape the emptiness. I'd see families together. Parents with adult children, grandparents with grandkids, and feel a hollow ache in my chest. I started therapy. Found a counselor who specialized in family estrangement. She was kind, in her 50s, with gentle eyes and a way of asking questions that made you think. Do you think you made the right choice? She asked in our 3rd session. I think I made the only choice I could live with, I answered. And can you live with it? I'm still here, aren't I? She smiled sadly. Being alive and living are different things, Robert. 2 months after the confrontation, I did something I'd been avoiding. I went to see a lawyer. His name was Thomas Brennan. 60 years old, silver hair, kind face. He'd handled Patricia's estate and I trusted him. Robert, he said when I walked into his office. Good to see you. What brings you in? I sat down and told him everything. The isolation, the confrontation, the ultimatum, the silence. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. I'm sorry you're going through this, he said. It's more common than you'd think. Adult children pushing for early inheritance. Is there anything I need to do? Legally. Do you have a will? Yes. Everything's split 3 ways between them. He nodded slowly. Given the situation, you might want to reconsider that. I hadn't thought about that. In my mind, despite everything, they were still my children. Still my beneficiaries. But Thomas was right. Why would I leave everything to people who'd cut me out of their lives over money? What are my options? You can change your will anytime. You could leave it to charity, friends, to anyone you choose. Or you could set up contingencies. They inherit only if certain conditions are met. I sat with that for a minute. I'm not trying to punish them, I said quietly. I don't want them to benefit from treating me this way. Then change it, Thomas said. You don't have to decide right now who gets what. But you should update it to reflect your current situation. Because if something happened to you tomorrow, they'd inherit everything. And frankly, Robert, they don't deserve it. He was right. They didn't. So that day I changed my will. I didn't leave everything to charity. That felt too dramatic, too much like punishment. Instead, I set up a trust. If any of my children wanted to inherit, they had to demonstrate a year of consistent contact. Phone calls, visit, actual relationship. If they couldn't do that, the money would go to cancer research in Patricia's name. Felt right. Fair even. I wasn't asking for apologies or groveling. Just presence. Just basic human decency. As I signed the papers, I felt something shift inside me. Not happiness. Not satisfaction. Relief. Like I'd taken back some small measure of control. The thing about being abandoned by your children is that it forces a reckoning. You have to decide who you are without them. What your life means when the people you built it around are gone. For me, that process was slow and painful and necessary. I started small. I joined a woodworking class at the community center. I'd always wanted to learn but never had time. Turns out I was decent at it. There was something meditative about working with your hands, shaping something from raw material into something useful. I made a birdhouse, then a shelf, then a small table. The instructor, a retired carpenter named Frank, took an interest in my work. "You've got a good eye," he said one afternoon. "Ever think about selling some of this stuff?" Selling it? Sure. There's a craft market every Saturday downtown. Lots of folks sell woodwork there. You'd do well. So I started selling. Not for the money, I didn't need money, but for the purpose. For something to do with my hands and my time. I met people. Other crafters, customers, browsers. Had conversations. Made a few acquaintances. Not friends exactly, but friendly faces. People who nodded hello when they saw me setting up my table each week. One regular customer, a woman named Eleanor, probably 70, bought a jewelry box from me. "This is beautiful," she said, running her fingers over the smooth walnut finish. "Who are you making these for?" "No one in particular." She smiled. "That's the best way. Make things because you love making them, not because someone's waiting for them." I thought about that a lot. Make things because you love making them, not because someone's waiting. Maybe that applied to more than woodworking. 4 months in, I got a text from Sarah. Just, "Dad." That's it. One word. Like she was testing the water, seeing if I'd respond. I stared at that message for an hour, trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to respond immediately, to say I forgave everything, to pretend the past 4 months hadn't happened. But another part, the part that had learned to stand alone, knew better. I typed, "Yes." 3 hours later. "How are you?" "I'm fine." "You?" "Fine." That was it. That was the conversation. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just small talk as if nothing had happened. I didn't hear from her again for 2 weeks. Then another text. "Thinking about you." I didn't respond to that one. Then Michael called. 3 times in one day. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail on the 3rd call. "Hey Dad. It's me. Just wanted to check in. Haven't heard from you in a while. Give me a call when you get a chance." His tone was casual, almost cheerful, like we were buddies catching up after a busy few weeks. Like he hadn't told me we were done for months ago. I didn't call back. Daniel sent an email. Long rambling. Talking about his daughters, about work, about spring weather. At the very end, almost like an afterthought. "Hope you're doing well." No apology. No acknowledgement. Just reappearance, as if they'd never left. They were testing me. Seeing if I'd forgotten. Seeing if I'd welcome them back with open arms and, presumably, an open checkbook. I knew what I had to do. But I'll admit, it was hard. Every instinct I had screamed to respond, to reconnect, to rebuild. But I didn't. Because reconnecting on their terms meant accepting the original premise. That my worth to them was conditional. That love had a price tag. And I wouldn't do that. Not anymore. I found out why they came back by accident. I ran into Jennifer, Michael's wife, at the grocery store in May. She saw me before I saw her, and by the time I looked up from the produce section, she was standing right there. "Robert," she said. Fake smile. Brittle. "Jennifer." Awkward silence. Then, "Michael says you haven't been returning his calls." "I've been busy." "Right." She adjusted her purse. "Well, he really wants to talk to you. It's important." "What's important?" She hesitated. Then, maybe because she was annoyed with me or maybe because she wanted to twist the knife, she said, "The business is failing, Robert. Michael needs help. Real help. We might lose the house." There it was. The real reason for the sudden reconciliation attempts. Not guilt. Not love. Not regret. Desperation. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. Are you? 'Cause you could help. You have the money. I do have money. You're right. Her eyes lit up. So you'll. But I'm not giving it to Michael. Her face went cold. You're really going to let your own son lose everything? Jennifer, 4 months ago, Michael told me we were done. That I was selfish. That he couldn't be bothered with me anymore. Now his business is failing and suddenly he wants to talk. I'm not stupid. He's your son. Then he should have remembered that in February. She stared at me. Then she did something I didn't expect. She laughed. Sharp, bitter. Patricia was right about you, she said. You are cold. Excuse me. She told Michael before she died. That underneath everything you were cold. Selfish. That you always put yourself first. I felt like I'd been punched. Patricia never said that. Didn't she? Ask Michael. He'll tell you. She walked away, leaving me standing there with a bag of apples in my hand and my world tilting. I couldn't stop thinking about what Jennifer said. Patricia thought I was cold. Selfish. Didn't make sense. We'd been married 43 years. We'd built a life together. Raised children together. She'd never said anything like that. Never even hinted. But the doubt ate at me. Because what if it was true? What if I'd been blind to how she really felt? I called Thomas Brennan. Not about legal matters, about truth. Thomas, when you handled Patricia's estate, did she say anything about me? About our marriage? He was quiet for a moment. Robert, why are you asking? I told him what Jennifer had said. Robert listened to me. I knew Patricia for 15 years. She loved you. Deeply. She never said one negative word about you. Not one. But whatever Michael's wife told you is a lie. Or a manipulation. Don't let them rewrite history to justify their behavior. He was right. Of course he was right. But the fact that they tried to use Patricia, my dead wife, as a weapon against me. That was a new low. I made a decision that night. I was done being passive. Done waiting for apologies that would never come. Done letting them control the narrative. If they wanted to play games, I'd play too. But by my rules. I did something I'd never done before. I hired a private investigator. I know how that sounds. Like I was being paranoid, vindictive. But I needed to know the truth. About their finances. About what was real and what was manipulation. The investigator, a woman named Rachel, was thorough. Within 2 weeks she had a report. Michael's business wasn't failing. It was struggling, yes, but not catastrophically. He had options, restructuring small business loans, selling assets. He didn't need my $50,000. He wanted it because it was easier. Sarah's debt. $30,000 in credit cards. But it was from luxury purchases. Vacations. Designer clothes. New car. Not medical bills from her divorce. She'd lied. Daniel's wife Jennifer didn't need $40,000 for an MBA. She'd already been accepted to an online program that cost $12,000 total, most of which was covered by her employer. They'd all lied. Inflated their needs. Made their situations sound desperate when they were merely inconvenient. And they thought I'd never find out. Armed with this information, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Not over them, I didn't want power over them. But power over my own narrative. My own choices. They tried to make me feel guilty. Selfish. But I wasn't any of those things. I was just someone who'd finally stopped letting people take advantage of him. In June, all 3 of them showed up at my house. Unannounced. Like the reverse of that February meeting. I opened the door to find them on my porch. Michael in front, Sarah and Daniel behind him. Unified. Against me. We need to talk, Michael said. Do we? Dad, this has gone on long enough. We're family. We shouldn't be fighting. I could have slammed the door. Could have told them to leave. But I was curious. I wanted to see how far they'd go. Come in, I said. We sat in the living room. The same room where Patricia and I had raised them. Where we'd celebrated Christmases and birthdays and graduations. We want to apologize, Sarah said. Rehearsed. For how things went in February. We were stressed and we said things we didn't mean. Did you mean it when you said we were done? No, Michael said quickly. Of course not. We were angry. And are you still angry? They exchanged looks. We're confused, Daniel admitted. We don't understand why you won't help us. We're family. Let me ask you something, I said. If I didn't have any money, if Patricia had left nothing, if I was living on Social Security alone, would you still be here? Would you have come back? Silence. Because I've had 4 months to think about this. And I realized something. You didn't cut me out because I refused to give you money. You cut me out because I became inconvenient. Because checking on me, calling me, including me in your lives took effort. And I stopped being worth that effort. That's not. Let me finish. My voice was harder than I'd heard it in months. You came to me in February with your hands out. And when I said no, you didn't just accept it. You threatened me. You said we were done. You tried to make me feel like a bad father for not bankrupting myself for your wants. Not needs, wants. And when that didn't work, you disappeared. Now you're back. And I know why. Michael, your business isn't failing as badly as you claimed. Sarah, your debt isn't from medical bills. Daniel, Jennifer's MBA costs a fraction of what you said. So let me ask you. Did you ever need the money? Or did you just want to see if you could get it? Their faces. Oh, their faces. Anger. Fear. You had us investigated. Sarah hissed. I did my due diligence. That's insane. Is it? You lied to me. All of you. You manufactured crises to manipulate me into giving you money. And when that didn't work, you tried to rewrite history. Jennifer told me Patricia thought I was cold and selfish. Was that your idea, Michael? Using your dead mother as a weapon? Michael stood up. We should leave. Yes, you should. Don't expect to hear from us again, Sarah said, standing too. I don't. But let me be very clear about something. I changed my will. If anything happens to me, you inherit nothing unless you can prove you maintained a genuine relationship with me for a full year. No crisis calls. No sudden reconciliations when you need something. Actual, consistent presence. Daniel P. Continue. 5:32 p.m. You can't. I already did. Thomas Brennan witnessed it. It's legal and ironclad. So if you're waiting for me to die so you can collect, you'll be waiting a long time. And even then, you'll get nothing unless you earn it. They left without another word. No argument. No pleading. Just left. And as I closed the door behind them, I felt something I hadn't felt in over a year. That was 14 months ago. I haven't heard from them since. Not a call. Not a text. Not even a Facebook message on my birthday. First I waited. Hoping they'd prove me wrong. Hoping they'd reach out not because they wanted something but because they missed me. They never did. And somewhere along the way I stopped waiting. I sold the house. It was too big, they were right about that. But I didn't move to a senior community. I bought a small 2-bedroom condo near downtown. Modern. Efficient. Close to my woodworking shop and the farmer's market. I've made friends. Real friends. Frank from woodworking class. Eleanor, who buys my jewelry boxes. Book club I joined. Poker group that meets every Thursday. I'm not lonely anymore. I still think about my children sometimes. Wonder what they're doing. If they ever think about me. If they tell their own children. My grandchildren I've never met. About the grandfather who chose money over family. That's how they'll frame it. I know that. In their version of the story, I'm the villain. The selfish old man who turned his back on his struggling children. But I know the truth. And so do they, if they're honest with themselves. I didn't choose money over family. I chose dignity over manipulation. I chose self-respect over being used. And I'd make the same choice again. Last week I got a letter. Hand-addressed, no return address. I almost threw it away, thinking it was junk mail. But something made me open it. It was from Sarah. 1 page, handwritten. Dad, I've been in therapy. Working through some things. My therapist asked me when I stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you as a resource. I couldn't answer her. But I think it was after Mom died. I think we all just expected you to fill the hole she left. With money. With support. With everything. And when you couldn't or wouldn't, we got angry. Like you'd broken a contract we never explicitly made. Sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. What we did. What I did. You deserved better. You still do. Sarah. I've read that letter a dozen times. Looking for manipulation. For hidden requests. For some sign that this is just another angle. I haven't found any. Maybe it's genuine. Maybe it's not. Maybe Sarah really has worked through things, or maybe this is what her therapist told her to do. I don't know. And here's the thing I've learned. I don't need to know. I'm not going to rush back into anything. I'm not going to pretend the last year didn't happen. If Sarah wants a relationship, a real one, it'll take time, patience. Consistency. And if she doesn't, if this letter is all there is, that's okay too. 'Cause I'm okay. For the first time in a long time, I'm actually okay. I'm standing alone. And I'm still standing. They expected me to beg. To crumble. To need them more than they needed me. Chose something else. I chose to stand alone. And I discovered something they never understood. Standing alone doesn't mean being alone. It means being strong enough not to need anyone to complete you. I'm 68 now. Have good friends. Craft I love. Home I chose. A life I built from the ground up after everything fell apart. Would I rather have my children in my life? Course. But not at the cost of my self-respect. Not at the price of my dignity. Some doors close forever. Some silences never break. And sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself is letting people go. Even when they're your own blood. My name is Robert. I'm 68 years old. And I chose to stand alone. If this story moved you, like and subscribe for more stories about truth, betrayal, and redemption. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between family and self-respect? What did you do?